Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our daily editorial analysis. Can you hear and see me clearly, everyone? Very good morning. Hi, Sakhi. Good morning. Am I clearly visible and audible? Morning, Saurabh, Mahita, Mobiz, Aditya, and everyone else. Am I clearly visible and audible? I'm absolutely fine, everyone. Thank you so much for asking. Just if you could quickly confirm, yes, clearly visible and audible. Hi, Abhinav. Visible and audible. Okay, guys. So, yes, February coming to an end. It is over, not an end. It is over. एंड टाइम थोड़ा सा कम बचा है हमारे पास, लेकिन अभी भी मेहनत कर लेंगे, बहुत इजीली एग्जाम निकाल लेंगे. And with that perspective, I bought some articles today which we're going to be discussing. Articles मैं last week के लेके आई हूँ. मैंने बहुत carefully choose किया over the last 2-3 days. Friday की class cancel हुई थी because of my internet. My was messed up. So बहुत carefully 2 articles last week के choose करके लाई हूँ. Thursday, Friday, Saturday 3 दोनों में से जो मुझे लग रहा है जिस पे articles बन सकते हैं, reading comprehension बन. पहला article supremely difficult है, important है, ध्यान से समझना, उस पे questions आ सकते हैं. So before I start with anything, let me take you through a few things. अगर आप CLAT target कर रहे हो 22 वाला, May वाला, जिसकी postponement date तो अभी तक नहीं आई है, so batch 2 has been launched and assuming कि postpone नहीं होगा, जल्दी से इस batch के लिए enroll कर लो because time आपके पास बहुत बहुत meager बचा है. Please enroll yourself at the earliest for this crash course. If you're targeting CLAT 23, that's going to happen in December. A new batch foundation module has been launched where I'll be teaching English. If 23 CLAT, that's in December, is your target, look no further, enroll yourself right away for this batch. If you're targeting MSCT, ALAT, SLAT, BLAT, JAMIA, these law entrance examinations, these are a little different from CLAT, then batch 2 for these exams have been launched. You could enroll yourself for this batch to prepare specifically for these examinations. And last but not the least, if you don't wish to study every subject but wish to study only legal affairs and current events, then batch 2 for this booster course has been launched, where Nivedita ma'am and Abhimanyu sir would be teaching you legal affairs and current events. So, jaldi se enroll kar lo. And kya ho gaya? Yes, Ishan, good suggestion for movies. I would have said the same. Alright guys, so good morning everyone who's joined me late. Now, what are we going to do today? We wouldn't revise any vocabulary, but I've taken 2 articles. I don't even remember what newspapers I've taken them from. I think one is from the Hindu and other is from the Indian Express. But we'll be taking out all the vocabulary from these 2 articles. I couldn't pick questions on these 2 articles, but I've highlighted few lines where I'll ask you to interpret the inference that's hidden there in the lines. We'll discuss the tone of the author in the end of each article that we discuss, and you can write down the summary of each article under my video in the comment section, which I'll check during the rest half of the day. And in the end, we'll look at today's Hindu and Indian Express and we'll see what are the important editorial articles that we need to read from these 2 newspapers in detail and what is something that we can miss. One article today that I've taken is from the text and context as well. Okay, so ये हमारा आज का एजेंडा है. अब जल्दी से स्टार्ट करते हैं. सबसे पहले from the vocabulary from today's articles. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's move gradually with the vocabulary and then we'll look at today's articles. Lots of new words to see today. So the first word, etiology, is basically a set of causes or manner of causation of a disease or condition. Okay, now for example, if a person suffers from anxiety, BP, diabetes, cancer, the study of the cause of these diseases is etiology. So the importance of sunlight in etiology of melanoma, that is, when you study melanoma, you know sunlight plays an important role and the absence of it could cause this disease. That study of the causation of melanoma is called etiology. Got that, everyone? Yes? Is my voice low today? Actually, I am using a different mic, but is it clear? I hope my voice is not breaking or echoing. हाँ, नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज वाला एडिटोरियल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है श्रिया. We have a lot of things to infer in that article. In fact, the next article as well. Okay. If you could quickly confirm if my voice is low, but it's clear. Yes, clear. Okay. All right. So the next one. Okay, this word, you see a lot of foreign phrases that comes in the exam. And I keep telling you this, that editorials are by far the best source of understanding these foreign phrases. So ceteris paribus is everything considered to be equal. For example, we're going to study an article on disease today. So all the diseases, if they're kept on an equal juncture, an equal stature, that is, if everything else is equal, that is ceteris paribus. Okay. The third word, inexorably. Inexorably is anything that is ought to happen, that is impossible to prevent. So the conflict was to lead and inexorably to the outbreak of World War III. होगा? न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स रेडी कर लिए सबने, तो अपने अपने नहीं होगा, होपफुली नहीं होगा, है ना? We can just hope for the best. So inexorably is, it's inevitable. Inevitable इसका एक synonym हो गया ought to happen. All right. Good morning, Ragini. Yes. Inevitable. Exactly, Shriya. Inevitable. Egalitarian related word हो गया शेफीज का. ओके. अनरेमिटिंग बोल सकते हो बिल्कुल. नहीं होगा. एग्जैक्टली केडी नहीं होगा. केडी कौन से केडी हो आप मुझे चेक करना पड़ेगा. ओके, लेट्स लुक एट द नेक्स्ट वर्ड. यस, एब्सोल्युटली पीयूष बिल्कुल होगा. एग्जैक्टली सिनोनिम है. ठीक है. इररिवोकेबल भी बोल सकते हो आप, बिल्कुल बोल सकते हो. ठीक है. रिलेटेड वर्ड. Foredoomed. For, let's break the word. For आगे, future, like foresee, foretell, four legs, forehead. So for is आगे, in the front. Doom. Okay. So doom is, okay, now everything is going to be destroyed. That's doom. So this war that has been happening is a sign of a doom, could be. So for doom, you already predict something already. Something that might create a destruction in the future is foredoomed. The policy is foredoomed to failure. You can see that it's going to happen. It's going to cause failure in the future. That's foredoomed. Okay. Bedeviled बोल सकते हो. Yes, बिल्कुल बोल सकते हो. Criticize related word है. Doomsday conspiracy movie, if you've seen that. Destined. Yes, Zikra, you can say that as well. Okay. All right. So the last word of the class, peg. अब देखो एक पेग तो कॉमनली तुम सबको पता ही होगा, वो मुझे समझाने की जरूरत नहीं है उसका मीनिंग क्या होगा. दिस इज द अदर पेग एंड दैट इज बेसिकली एक पर्टिकुलर लेवल ऑफ मेजरमेंट दैट यू डू इज पेग. सो अ सेट, अ बेंचमार्क, ये 30 या 60, ये एक बेंचमार्क होता है. दैट्स अ पेग. अ स्टैंडर्ड इज अ पेग. स्लाइड नंबर 1 जल्दी से सब स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो. ओके. foredoomed for prediction बिल्कुल बोल सकते हो. Yes. Okay. Any questions? Slide number 1 ले लिया. Let's move to the next one. The next slide. On that note, cheers everyone. A parameter. बिल्कुल सकी. फिर से बताऊं. अच्छा, ceteris paribus अगर बाकी चीजों को कांस्टेंट रख दिया जाए, कांस्टेंट्स या एक लेवल पे रख दिया जाए, तो उसका जो इम्पैक्ट होगा ना, ये इम्पैक्ट को हम ceteris paribus बोलते हैं. ठीक है. ऑल राइट. चलिए एटियोलॉजी फिर से समझाओ. अच्छा, एटियोलॉजी होती है अगर एक पर्सन फॉर एग्जांपल किसी भी डिजीज से सफर करता है, तो वो कॉज क्या है उसका, उस कॉज की स्टडी करना इज एटियोलॉजी. ओके. ऑल राइट. चलिए नेक्स्ट वर्ड, नेक्स्ट लाइन पे चलते हैं. Yes. Portend. We've discussed this word multiple times in the past. To actually predict, okay, or predict anything that's likely to happen. हमने जो foredoom किया था वो एक negative connotation के साथ था कि destruction होगा. But portend is to predict any outcome. The eclipses portend some major events. So major events could be positive, could be negative. Foresee is portend. All right, foretell is portend. All right, the next one, foretell. बिल्कुल foretell बोल सकते हो अभिनव. The next one, expounded is related to explanation. So expounding could be a tone of the author as well. When the tone is explanatory, expository, expounding could be one. If you are making notes for tone of the author and the words, you could note this word down in the list. I've given you a list as well in the classes if you come to my classes, the paid batches. So he was expounding a powerful argument. He was explaining. An explanatory idea tone is expounded. The next one, predict, beacon बोल सकते हो. Eloquent नहीं होगा बच्चे, eloquent नहीं होगा portend का. Okay? Eloquent तो होता है जो बहुत अच्छे से जिसको पता है क्या बोलना है, कैसे बोलना है. ठीक है? Elucidate हो सकता है expounding का, बिल्कुल. Opposite भी हो सकता है. Prophecies, yes, Bhumi, very good for expounded. Sorry, for portend, very good. Yes, or prophecy as well. Elucidate for expounded. Yes. Now the next one, reductionist. ध्यान से पढ़ना, इसका बहुत important connotation है, context है in the article that we're going to use. You know, Ragini, I have a feeling by the end of this year, by the time you sit for CLAT, you learn at least some Hindi from these classes. I try to explain everything in English. I make sure that, but then there are times because I have a lot of bilingual kids, I'll have to explain them in Hindi as well. It's a win-win for both of us. You learn some Hindi and probably some other kids will learn some English as well. Reductionist is an approach. This approach is when any person looks at a complex problem but defines it or considers it or solves it in very basic, simple fundamentals is a reductionist approach. Problem is complex, but your approach towards it is a simple one, is a reductionist one. So a crude reductionist, a person who is wholeheartedly looking at any complex problem in a very simple or fundamental manner is a reductionist approach. Okay? Yes, one who simplifies things. Yes, Saki, that is a reductionist. Writing on the wall for portend, Shivani, very good. That's an exact idiom. Writing on the wall for portend. Do you remember the idioms classes I had with you? Okay? Ragini, you just have to tell me, okay? Whatever word you're confused with, okay? Okay. So, vestiges, something that's left, okay? Something that's left behind after the person, the animal is no more in existence. That's vestiges. The last vestiges of colonialism, here it's a context, not necessarily a physical person who's not alive. What is left behind of that person could be vestiges. Left behind of a legacy, of a culture, of rule. What is left behind when it is no more in existence are called vestiges. Okay. Downgrading the severity could be reductionist. Yes, बिल्कुल हो सकता है. Simplistic हो सकता है. Remnant for vestiges, absolutely yes, Sakhi, बिल्कुल हो सकता है. Okay. Trace, residual, all are synonyms. Remains, absolutely yes. Carcass could also be one. Absolutely. Relic, is that physical ho gaya? But remember, it can be used contextually as well. The last one, gimmick. So it's a trick. Okay, gimmicks of politicians. So they are usually these tricks to attract attention. A gimmick that we are going to provide. Gimmick बताती हूँ मैं आपको क्या होता है. NATO join कर लो, हम आपको पूरा support देंगे. And see what's happening. Can we say it was a gimmick? Can we say it was a gimmick? What do you think about that? Join NATO and we'll provide you full support. Don't worry, I'm here with you. जा बेटे तू तो लड़ाई कर, मैं लड़ूंगा तेरे लिए. Was that a gimmick? Publicity बोल सकते हो? Yes. Marketing gimmicks होते हैं, बिल्कुल श्रिया. Absolutely yes. Luring, correct, correct. Dan says yes, it was a gimmick. Inciting, yes, correct. I hope it ends soon. धोखा हो सकता है. बेसिकली ये दिखाना कि हम अटेंशन अट्रैक्ट कर रहे हैं, बट वो होती एक ट्रिक है. ल्योरिंग हो सकता है। स्लाइड नंबर 2, जल्दी से स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो। चलिए नेक्स्ट स्लाइड, गैल्वेनाइजेशन। देखो, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द साइंटिफिक एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ गैल्वेनाइजेशन, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द इंग्लिश contextual. Galvanization is to excite somebody so that they give a reaction. Okay, that is galvanizing. Increasing litter galvanized children to clean up the park. So they could see dirt all around the park, and that incited something in their mind. It excited the children to clean up the park. That's galvanizing. All right. Okay. जुमला, yes, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल करेक्ट है, एग्जैक्टली यही वर्ड है इसका। Tempt, seduce is a gimmick, yes. Manipulate, maneuver, could be. Right? Persuading, yes, galvanization. Related, ठीक है. Okay, bastion. Bastion is usually a place, an institution, an idea that maintains certain principles and follows that. So that following that certain principle, certain ideology is a bastion. किस चीज को represent करते हो आप, वो आपका bastion होता है. So cricket's last bastion of discrimination, ठीक है, last benchmark of discrimination, and after that probably the discrimination was over here. That's a okay. Any questions? That is Weber, but I'm not talking about the scientific meaning of it. Very good, Weber. वो होता है. हो सकता है अभिनव, yes, बिल्कुल हो सकता है, बिल्कुल हो सकता है bet for galvanization. Okay, क्योंकि आप अच्छा next one stir. तो stir होता है to ignite something, to light a fire somewhere so that the action, the process starts. So in 1960s, when the civil rights movement stirred, that is, it started, it ignited, it developed through 1960. That is to stir. A thought stirring in your mind, it starts in your mind there. Okay, inciting हो सकता है, बिल्कुल गुरुकुल के लिए बोल सकते हो आप. Okay, all right. Orthodoxic नहीं, orthodoxic नहीं होगा बच्चे. Okay, speed up for stirring, yes, हो सकता है. Next one. Emanate. We've done this word multiple times in the past as well. This is slide number 3, everybody. So emanate is usually spreading out from a source. Emanating light. So if you turn on a torch light, the light emanates out of it. It spreads out from a source. That's emanating. Warmth emanated from the fireplace. The source is the fireplace, and the warmth spreads out from that source is emanating. Stem for stir, yes. Shakshi, yes. Initiate for stir, correct. Stemming for stir, yes. Sprouting, catalyzing, yes. Permeate for emanate, very good. Permeate for emanate is absolutely correct. Correct, Eshan and Anushka. Transmit हो सकता है, coverage हो सकता है, yes. Radiate हो सकता है. Galvanize समझ में नहीं आया? फिर से समझाती हूँ galvanize क्या होता है. Galvanization होता है ट्रिगर करना. ट्रिगर किसी ने नहीं बताया सरप्राइजिंगली. यस, ट्रिगर करना जैसे अगर आपके दिमाग में मैंने एक थॉट डाल दिया कि भाई अब एग्जाम के लिए आपके पास बहुत ही कम टाइम बचा है, आप मेहनत कर लो, पढ़ाई करना स्टार्ट कर दो, मार्क्स लेना स्टार्ट कर दो. दैट प्रोसेस इज गैल्वनाइजिंग. आपके माइंड में वो इंसाइटमेंट होता है, वो ट्रिगर होता है कि आप वो चीज करो. उस प्रोसेस को गैल्वनाइजिंग बोलते हैं. ठीक है, ऑल राइट. द लास्ट वन, इंक्लूसिव. ये वर्ड हमने शायद पिछले एक साल में हंड्रेड्स ऑफ टाइम्स या तो कर लिया होगा या कंटेक्स्ट देख लिया होगा इन द आर्टिकल्स दैट वी आर डूइंग. Inclusive and exclusive. Inclusive is one that involves everyone, that considers everyone around them. So for example, NLUs are inclusive because they give preference to women and all other weaker sections of the society. Inclusive one. Not preferring one, but including everybody is an inclusive one. So we say inclusive society. You told trigger, oh rebel, I missed it then possibly. Very good. Okay. ठीक है. और बैस्टियन भी लास्ट टाइम फिर से समझाती हूँ. प्रोवोक करना भी हो सकता है, बिल्कुल. Let's look at the last word very quickly, and that is bastion and egalitarian for inclusive. Bilkul egalitarian is for inclusive. So we've got yes, we've got a bastion. Bastion होता है एक ऐसी place, एक ऐसा institution, एक ऐसा belief जो एक particular ideology को constantly maintain करके चलता है. जैसे मैं एक रेस्टोरेंट, मुझे एक एक्सेलेंट क्वालिटी ऑफ फूड सर्व करना, इसमें कोई कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं, चाहे मेरा कॉस्ट ज्यादा लग जाए, तो उसी को आगे चलाते रहना, दैट्स अ bastion. ठीक है. जैसे मेरी आइडियोलॉजी अगर है कि मैं इक्वलिटी चाहती हूँ सोसाइटी में, तो आई एम गोइंग टू मेक अ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी दैट विल इंश्योर इक्वलिटी कम व्हाट में, और उसी को आगे बढ़ाना है, दैट्स अ bastion. ठीक है. आया सबको समझ में? कैन वी मूव टू द आर्टिकल्स एवरीवन? So Anjali, you're unable to answer. What people are doing here is, while I'm teaching them words, they suggest synonyms. Okay. So if you have any synonym in your mind, you could suggest that. But if you don't know any synonym that we read right now, you could make notes simultaneously. Write them down so that while you revise vocabulary gradually, it's easier for you to recall them. That's what we are doing right now. Now let's quickly move to the first article. Very, very important and tricky. I know. We've got a fourth slide today. Endorse, promote, support is endorsement. So the report was endorsed by the college supported this report or promoted it. So promotion or supporting is endorsing. We've got brand ambassadors. What do? They do endorsements, right? That is endorse. Next one, tokenism. So it's a practice of making only a pre-functional or symbolic effect to do a particular thing, specifically by recruiting a small number of people from underrepresented group in order to give appearance of sexual relation equality to a workforce. Layman में समझाती हूँ tokenism क्या हुआ? Tokenism is my organization believes in equality. Okay, so to show equality, I'll hire one woman and every other 30 people, 29 staff members would be males. So the representation of women is not actually showing equality here because it's only one. The number is only one. The idea is only tokenism here. सिर्फ एक टोकन के नाम पे आपने एक वुमन रख दिया कि भैया जरूरी है मेरे लिए वुमेन का पार्टिसिपेशन ताकि मैं इक्वलिटी दिखाऊं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, मैंने एक वुमन को हायर कर लिया, बट वो सिर्फ टोकन के नाम पे था, वो एक्चुअली इक्वलिटी नहीं हुई. सो when the government says you need to behave equally, you need to hire women from the society as well, you hire only one woman because you don't want women to work, that's tokenism. Got that everybody? Hypocrisy बोल सकते हो, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बोल सकते हो. Okay, yes, correct. Double standards बोल सकते हो. The use of gay supporting characters is mere tokenism. Yes, only showing these characters. Possibly your mind doesn't believe in LGBT, but you only take the supporting characters to address the tokenism. Clarion call. We've done this word multiple times as well. So a strong urge, demand for something. Right now it's needed. So right now it's a clarion call to Russia to end the war. That's a clarion call. Okay? Tokenism is not jargon. No. Purport. Yes. Okay, purport बोल सकते हो. All right. So clarion call आया समझ में. Last. Paradigm is a perfect example used to explain anything. Okay, a typical example that's used everywhere. Example देखो, जब हम genocide की बात करते हैं, genocide, we've been witnessing genocide throughout the world multiple times, but the moment we talk about genocide, one country comes to our mind certainly, and that's Germany. Yes. So that's a paradigm, a typical example, a methodology used to explain to people that, this is something bad. The discovery of universal gravitation becomes the paradigm of successful science. What successful science looks like? Look at gravitation. It became a typical example or explanation to make people understand something. Yes, Shivani, absolutely correct about tokenism. Archetype, okay, for paradigm, yes. करेक्ट. टोकनिज्म फिर से समझाऊं, हिंदी में समझाती है. टोकनिज्म हुआ जब आपने सिर्फ दिखाने के लिए एक टोकन की तरह एक चीज कर दी, लेकिन आप जेन्युइनली उसमें बिलीव नहीं करते हो. अगर आपको गवर्नमेंट कहती है वुमेन को भी हायर करो अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, तो सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट को दिखाने के लिए आपने एक वुमन को हायर कर लिया अपने 30 लोगों के स्टाफ में, आप जेन्युइनली नहीं बिलीव करते, सिर्फ दिखाने के लिए और टोकन के नाम पे वो चीज हो गई है। दैट इज अ टोकनिज्म कि चलो टोकन मिल गया, टोकन अमाउंट मिल गया आपको, अब आप खुश रहो कि पैसे नहीं मिलेंगे आपको। दैट्स टोकनिज्म। ओके, ऑल राइट। Paradigm, do you want me to pronounce the word? Yes, that's paradigm. Okay, इसको जी प्रोनाउंस नहीं करते हैं, ऑल राइट, इसको बहुत सारे लोग गलत प्रोनाउंस करते हैं। अच्छा आपने मेरे से पूछ लिया। सब्ज्यूम, ओके, अपने आप को किसी चीज में मिक्स कर देना। So when one thing mixes into the other, resumes into the other, absorbs into itself into the other, is subsumed. Most of these phenomena can be subsumed under two broad categories. So two broad categories, and then there are multiple phenomena that come under it. So all of these can actually be subsumed under the bigger ones. They can be absorbed into the bigger ones. That's a subsume. Slide number 4. Jaldi se screenshot le lo. Okay. Paradigm could be paragon. Yes, correct. Okay, so let's move to the articles now, everyone. Yes, Ritik, exactly. ये perfect example है एक tokenism का, Supreme Court judges में women judges का, a reductionist approach. Understand it very carefully, everyone. At any moment when you don't understand anything, please ask me a question, and there it's a very important. So we've got a lot of non-communicable diseases in the country. Okay, for example, hypertension, diabetes, cancer, and we see so many cases of so many people around us having one or the other disease. Yes, and initially when our country was a developing one, we were mostly struggling with the communicable one, but gradually we could hold on to them. And then came the non-communicable, like the examples I had given you. The government started to ensure that these non-communicable disease and their uprising is controlled. Obviously, because it will directly or indirectly impact the economy of my country, because the economy is dependent on the people, and the more people are sick and ill because of any kind of disease, the economy is going to be hampered. We saw that during a pandemic. Okay, but if I talk about non-communicable disease, for example, diabetes, my efficiency as a workforce reduces. Or if I have, God forbid, any other disease, my efficiency as a workforce reduces and my contribution to my economy also reduces. The government started working towards that. But the idea that the government has and the approach that the government has is called a reductionist one here. Let's understand why and what is wrong with the government's approach here. Okay, so that's the gist of the article. Praveen, I did not take a class on Friday. Saturday, Sunday मैं नहीं लेती हूँ classes, ये बात आपको पता है. Friday को मेरा Wi-Fi was not working, so I could not take a YouTube live. I need extremely high speed of internet for that, and that's why it did not happen. Okay, but now it has continued. So the population health is more than just the health of all individuals. So this line says health of all individuals, overall country. No, the population health is not health of everyone, but an individual one. एक person का health. Suicide rates are an example of the distinction between population and individual. If the suicide rate goes up, the population health possibly could be good, but the individual health may not necessarily be. While every individual case of suicide has its own unique etiology, the cause could be anything. If a person commits a suicide, there could be a number of causes that might trigger him to take the step. So since the causation is varied, population rates of suicide tends to display a remarkable stability over time. Ceteris paribus. If everything else is kept constant, then the rate of suicide has actually become stable, if not fallen down. While individual and population health are inexorably linked, they certainly are. Individual health and population health, of course, because the individual is going to make up the population only. The causes and thus the interventions required to address them tend to be different. Again, let's understand the example of suicides. Why would somebody commit suicide? Suicide is an individual health. which will ultimately form the population health as well. But if you don't work on the causation of these health problems an individual might have, overall population health cannot be altered, is what the author's approach here is. Trying to improve population health with merely individualistic strategies is foredoomed to failure and inefficient. So, just looking at it all individuals and ignoring the causation and only working at individual health to ensure your population health is only a reductionist approach. You aren't working on the causation, you aren't addressing them. So, author has a negative connotation here. Got that? Okay. What's your doubt? King, Devil Gaming? Please post it again. I'll have to. I don't cry because I'm a boy. I do cry. Then is it tokenism? No, that isn't. I don't think that is. Okay. All right. Oh, here we go. In the previous decade, the government acknowledged that the cause of Indian public health remains exclusively on maternal and child health. So last few years may, good 20 years may, 10 years may, our approach towards the population health, it was different than what it is right now. Mother's health, child's health, infection, and the diseases that relate to infection are primary focus on these. The PEG was proposed to be moved over to non-communicable. So this was our benchmark for our population health, individual health, the child's health, the mother's health, and the infections people might catch. But now our approach, our benchmark, moved on to non-communicable disease and chronic illness. Now, chronic illness could be a person's liver not functioning properly or kidney not functioning properly, and he's been suffering for it for very, very long time, where the improvement of the health is extremely slow. That could be called a chronic in this sense, whose rising prevalence portends huge economic and productivity loss. Of course, that person who suffers from a kidney failure or a liver failure, the contribution is negligible to the economy. What followed were a set of essentially individualistic policy. Now, since our government moved from maternal and child and infection disease and their health, it moved on to the non-communicable disease and the examples I had given you. After the movement happened, what the government did was it set up individualistic policy measures in the form of enhanced NCD, non-communicable disease, screening and management infrastructure. So the government made screening. What are the non-communicable disease? How can we manage that? How can people ensure wellness? What kind of lifestyle they should follow? What interventions are needed? Patient referral mechanism and so on. Multiple things were done. But now the question is, what becomes of the array of population level determinants of the NCDs that are deeply intertwined with social, economic and political dimensions? So he says, aapki lifestyle, eating a lot of junk food may cause obesity. That's one problem of, apart from the, this is an example of an NCD. Hypertension, diabetes, another example of the lifestyle that a person might have. But the government failed to focus on the social, economic and political dimension of it. Example, why I'll give you an example to make you understand that how the government ignored social, economic and political dimensions to it. आज से 30 years पहले ये बीमारियां इतनी कॉमन नहीं थी, जो मैं आपको हाइपरटेंशन, बीपी, सिमिलर एंड डायबिटीज एंड ओबेसिटी के एग्जांपल दे रही हूँ. क्या ये इस वजह से है कि हमारा एक्सेस टू जंक इंक्रीज हो गया है? हम जंक पहले भी था, जंक अभी भी है, हमारा एक्सेस इंक्रीज हो गया है, जंक खाना नॉर्मल हो गया है, स्कूल में बर्गर्स मिलने लग गए हैं, चिप्स के पैकेट्स मिलने लग गए हैं, whereas the school I used to go to, even if I took Maggie, I mean anything, I could not take anything apart from rice or roti into my lunchbox. Yes? So now our access to these things, cakes and everything else has increased. So ये जो shift हुआ ना, it's either a social one, ये economy को तो obviously help कर ही रहा है because junk में there is a lot of money that you can make, and then political dimensions as well because politics allows it to happen. Do you understand how the government has ignored that? I am not asking you the answer for any question. What are you answering? What are you answering? इतना आया समझ में? आया? Yes, no? Can I move ahead? And Swiggy and Zomato as well. Yes. Okay. So now what happened? To reflect the enhanced policy attention to the NCDs in contemporary times, modern times, population level representative surveys seem to be embracing an expanded set of indicators including blood pressure and blood sugar. But where are the true population level interventions? You are checking BP, you are checking glucose, free BP checkup camp, free glucose checkup camp. आपने सेटअप तो कर दिया, बट उसके रूट कॉज पे काम किया आपने इंडिविजुअल घर तक जाके देखा. I mean, not physically, but in planning of what they're eating and what is leading to this. Are there ample of parks around people's home where they could go out for a walk, which could avoid these diseases? Individualistic population level intervention was missing. A case from Netherlands can help draw an apt analogy. Now let's understand the analogy here between Netherlands and our country's example. In 2007, the Minister of Health of the Netherlands expounded their ideas on understand this, and there are a lot of people asking me questions, ma'am, Hindu class important क्यों है CLAT के लिए? मैं नहीं आंसर करूँगी, बच्चे आंसर करेंगे. पहले ये समझ लो analogy, ठीक है? In 2007, the Minister of Health of the Netherlands expounded their ideas on improving population health by exploring the interrelationship between health and other related sectors such as economy. So, Netherlands understood that population health is impacting economy, housing, social cohesion and environment ultimately. And their impact also is on health. So, they understood that these sciences are interrelated. Soon, however, the reductionist tendencies of the organized medicine came into play. What is the reductionist tendency of an organized medicine? What do you understand by this? What happened after that? They understood that these fields are interrelated. But when the author says, however, what happened? What do you understand by the reductionist tendencies of organized medicine? What do you understand by that? Explain this to me. You know, King Devil, this is what we do. This is what we do here. When you read editorials, you may not actually be working on these individual lines and asking yourself, why is this written? What is it trying to mean here? Your aim by reading the editorial would be only understanding the editorial. What else will it do to you? When you understand the GK, how will you improve your understanding? This is how you do. And by the way, I hope you had seen yes, last year's that paper. The entire paper was out of editorials. Exactly, Karthik, you're right. Exactly. Yes, yes, Sakhi. Anyone else? The meaning of this line? Curing it is a simple way, okay? They have tendency of improving medicines, working on the pathology. Yes. But working, देखो, हुआ क्या? Health, economy, housing, social cohesion, environment, everything is interrelated. तो दो चीजें होने लग गई. पहली चीज इंश्योरेंस ले लो, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस ले लो, क्योंकि बीमार तो तुम पड़ोगे ही, उससे तुमको इकोनॉमिक लॉस होगा, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस ले लो. तो ये जो ऑर्गेनाइज्ड मेडिसिन इंडस्ट्री है ना, उसने अपना रिडक्शनिस्ट काम स्टार्ट किया, एक इंश्योरेंस. या फिर मेडिकेशन लेना चालू कर दो, परमानेंट बीपी है कोई बात नहीं, लाइफ लॉन्ग मेडिसिन लेते रहो. डायबिटीज है नहीं ठीक होगा, लाइफ लॉन्ग मेडिकेशन लो, हम मेडिकेशन बनाएंगे. So, organized medicine science started the reductionist tendency. They saw this complex problem as a simple one. कि बीपी है, मेडिकेशन ले लो, आगे हार्ट फेल हो सकता है, इंश्योरेंस ले लो, simple. But it isn't so simple. turning it into a paradigm of personalized preventive medical health care मिलने लग गया, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस हो गया, हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल का सेट बन गया, डॉक्टर्स आ गए आपके साथ ऑन बोर्ड. A natural extension of this has characterized the Indian approach of the NCD. With health and wellness centers, publicly financed health insurance schemes, everyone has health insurance. Organizations, government, they give you health insurance, and vertical NCD control programs, the entire initiative to address the NCDs has been subsumed into a largely biomedical paradigm. So NCDs को control करना actually एक biomedical paradigm बन गया with scarce vestiges of the social sciences. But हमने उसके रूट कॉज पे काम नहीं किया, हमने उसके सोशल इंपैक्ट पे काम नहीं किया. The private sector has come to complement this with a large array of self tests, over the counter products. बीपी है, बीपी मशीन मिल जाएगी ओवर द काउंटर मेडिकेशन मिल जाएगी, ब्लड शुगर है, घर में टेस्टिंग किट मिल जाएगा, बहुत सारी चीजें इंटर रिलेटेड होने लग गई. ओके, तो एंड लाइफस्टाइल चेंजिंग गिमिक्स स्टार्ट हो गए. गिमिक्स का मैं आपको एग्जांपल देती हूँ. आई विल नॉट नेम दी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, नहीं तो मुझे कोई सू कर देगा. लाइफस्टाइल चेंजिंग गिमिक्स आपने देखा है? मैं आई नॉट टेक द नेम. शेक्स, मॉर्निंग ब्रेकफास्ट में शेक्स पी लो, प्रोटीन शेक्स पी लो, है ना? क्या करते हो? आपकी दादी ने प्रोटीन शेक्स पिया था? नहीं, नेवर. यूज्ड टू ईट हर पराठे विद बटर एवरी डे. तो ये बोला कि आपकी लाइफस्टाइल खराब है, आपको प्रोटीन शेक पीना जरूरी है, मैं प्रोटीन शेक बना के दूंगा आपको, मेरे ब्रांड का प्रोटीन शेक लो, वो पियो. दैट वाज ओनली अ गिमिक. Yes, this is while overarching public interventions which could also help raise much needed revenue for health, such as sin taxes, attract resistance. What are sin taxes? What do you understand by that, everyone? Hmm? Yes, whey, soya, chemicals. What are sin taxes? Yeah, that's what you should be eating, work hard and work out. Extra taxes? No. Yes, exactly. Purva, you're right. Taxes on harmful substances like alcohol, cigarettes, because they're going to harm your body. But government को revenue तो earn करना ही है, but लोगों को रोकना भी है, तो उस पे taxes. These are sin tax. Okay, this is the first one. These are sin tax. Exactly. Yes. So this reductionist approach rides the crest of an undue reliance on medical and healthcare. Why am I not asking you these vocabulary? Because the vocabulary is simple, the idea of the article is different. That's why I'm focusing so much on explanation of the article. The reductionist approach rides the crest of an undue reliance on medical and healthcare professionals for all public health solution. Health solution चाहिए तो medical professionals है ना. And a policy myopia that fails. Myopia मतलब short-sightedness here. That fails to appreciate that tackling NCDs warrants again action across a range of sectors beside health. अगर NCDs है तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ health sector ही responsible नहीं है इसके लिए. There are multiple sectors intertwined here that's going to help you. The bigger menace is that this approach is entrenched in political and public health tradition. That it's a part of our lives. This even reflects in way it impacts our research priorities of NCD. क्योंकि हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ हेल्थ सेक्टर को प्रायोरिटी मान रहे हैं एनसीडी से लिंक करके, तो हमारी सारी रिसर्च इसी से रिलेटेड हो रही है, राइट? This even reflects the way it impacts our research priorities of NCDs, which remain concentrated on lifestyle and individual level NCD determinants and solutions. Now comes a question. Read this line and tell me what do you understand by this. Very important line. Under resource system, in particular, what is readily actionable gets action and what isn't is softly swept under the rug. What do you understand by this? Rajiv, I'm using a different mic today, but you'll have to adjust today. Tomorrow I'll use the other mic. What do you understand by the line? action is it referring to, Sakhi? You've explained the line well. But what action is it referring to, bache? What actions are, according to the passage, according to the context of the passage, what actions are swept under the rug and what actions they get actioned? अली बताऊंगी. फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में ध्यान दिया था, मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया था इसका जिस्ट आपको. Government works only on short-term plans. Yes, and that's why myopic बोला है. बिल्कुल long-term goals को भूल गए. और वो actions app as well. App में नहीं है किसी का आंसर. I'll tell you. बीपी है, मेडिसिन खा लो ठीक है, मेंटेन रहेगा लाइफ लॉन्ग. शॉर्ट टर्म है, myopic. What causes BP? Long run. What will prevent our next generation from having this disease? Like cancer. कैंसर क्यों होता है? पोल्यूशन से, पेस्टिसाइड इंसेक्टिसाइड की सब्जियां खाने से, ग्रेन्स खाने से. बट गवर्नमेंट शॉर्ट टर्म अप्रोच रखती है. कैंसर होगा तो उसके लिए हम आपको इंश्योरेंस दे देंगे, मेडिकल फैसिलिटी प्रोवाइड कर देंगे, बट वी वुडंट वर्क ऑन द रूट कॉज. तो those root causes are swept under the rug. छुपा देते हैं, झाड़ू करते हैं, घर में कचरा इकट्ठा होता है, नहीं उठाना ना, कारपेट के नीचे डाल दो, छुप जाएगा, है ना. पर खाली तो नहीं होता, घर से रहता वही है. What is the problem? Yes, and what is the long-term solution to it? I mean, many ways of working in the cause, working on the surface causes. Yes, exactly, Vakha. That's right. Under-resource system refers to healthcare of India. Yes, where the government only focuses on short-term goals. Exactly, right. Okay. So, the elusive nature of social determinants has traditionally drawn funders and policymakers towards better defined, easily actionable, albeit short-lived. Easily actionable तो है, but बहुत short-term, myopic solutions हैं. And these technocratic solutions have resulted in flawed perception that social action for health is a high-order initiative reserved for affluent countries. हमने ये मान लिया, we believe in the fact that social action, bringing changes in the society and the way one lives their life is only for the rich nations. We can possibly distribute medicine and deal with it right now. But our assumption here is wrong, that this approach is only of working on the societal causes is only for the richer ones, not for the developing ones. The reverse is only true. That is, working on the societal level is needed for your nation and not the richer one. Developing setting like India can gain far greater health for every rupee spent by investing in social determinants. You invest money in healthcare sector. If you invest that in the social determinants and the causation of these diseases, the impact would be greater. The same makes for a strong ethical case as well by ensuring equitable distribution of such gains. Yes, gains, societal gains for people that would improve their health, but that should be accessible to everyone in the country. For India, NCDs will be a long-drawn challenge with projected losses due to NCD in the order of multiple trillions by 2030. That is, the NCDs are going to impact our society so badly that by 2030, our economy would have lost multiple trillions through NCDs and people suffering from NCDs. The case for investing the intersectoral, population-based, socially embedded approaches is right. Now it's the time, the time is right that we need to work on the socialistic approaches. Thus requires a total galvanization of different departments and sectors, the importance of population health. Not only the healthcare department that improves the population health, but all the interdisciplinary departments here. The push for digitization must be mobilized to generate enough evidence for resolute action on social health determinants. You can use technology. The government policy pronouncements will need to enshrine actionable points and explicit mandates toward a social health determinants. So policy making में इनका काम होना चाहिए, technology का use होना चाहिए, and political circles will have to outgrow the predominantly biomedical paradigm of health. That is, politics now needs to move away from the biomedicine to the societal impacts. What is the tone of the author? Exactly, Vaishnavi. So that is short-sightedness here. आप सिर्फ पास का देख रहे हो. Okay. Exactly, Vaishnavi. एग्जैक्टली यस सखी, बिल्कुल सही एग्जाम्पल दिया। तो इसका जिस्ट ये हुआ कि गवर्नमेंट को पता है कि नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज इज इम्पैक्टिंग देयर इकोनॉमी, बट इंस्टेड ऑफ वर्किंग इन on its core causes, the government is only working on healthcare and short-sighted approach. Yes, it's critical. Critical. And the last paragraph is suggestive. The paragraph that you see on the screen, that's suggestive. Yes, you're right, Anushka. Okay. Yes, critical and the last paragraph is suggestive. Alright guys, तो मुझे लग रहा है आज एक ही पैराग्राफ किया जाएगा because it took up a lot of time. I've got one which is fixing the underrepresentation of women in the science, but I don't think we will be able to do it. I hope you have read this paragraph. If you haven't read this passage, I would expect you to go back. This article came on Thursday. Okay, I'm not really sure if this is from the Hindu or Indian Express, but it came on Thursday. Please go through it because that is all what I'll do. A couple of more announcements for you before I show you today's Hindu and Indian Express. 12:30 on BBA, YouTube, BYJU'S Exam Prep channel. Vocabulary through etymology, part 3. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, please watch them and come to part number 3 today. We'll do at least 10 plus words today through etymology. I'll make sure that you memorize them. Second thing, I'll be sharing today's Hindu and Indian Express right now, and let's see what's important from today's newspaper. What should we read here? अच्छा, एक और suggestion देती हूँ मैं before I go ahead and show you Hindu and Indian Express. अच्छा देखो, रशिया यूक्रेन बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. yes. आपको अपनी पढ़ाई हैम्पर नहीं करनी है उससे. जो चीजें आपके कंट्रोल के बाहर है, we can't be sitting and fretting about that. I see a lot of people. देखो, जीके पर्सपेक्टिव से जितना इंपॉर्टेंट है आप उतना कर लो. रोज सुबह न्यूज़पेपर में एक बार पढ़ लो, बट पूरा दिन 2 घंटे की वार्निंग दे दिया, रशिया ने बोला है मेरा न्यूक्लियर वेपन, आपको नहीं फ्रेट करना उसके बारे में. Don't let your mental health take a toll, your studies take a toll with what is happening around the world. Yes, we are sorry. Yes, we are unhappy, but we can't keep sitting and fretting about that. Okay? Let's look at today's Hindu and Indian Express. Background. Where it is. I hope that's visible. हाँ अनुष्का, इनका concept important है. Yes, I will take a class tomorrow. Yes, I will. Okay, let's look at today's Hindu and Indian Express. Of course, the newspaper will be full of what's happening in the West End. Yes. Okay, the anatomy of India's Ukraine dilemma, only skim. Skim. Very, very, very important. I'm going to take it either tomorrow. Read this carefully. Yes, supremely important. Next page. बिल्कुल irrelevant. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. Oh yes, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको ध्यान से पढ़ना. Let's look at the text and context. इसी वीक होगी हर्ष, आज नहीं है, बट वेरी लाइकली आपको मैं अभी बता देती हूँ कब होगी. कल कल फिगर ऑफ स्पीच की क्लास. ठीक है, कल ले लेते हैं. और कोई टॉपिक पढ़ना है? जल्दी से सजेशन में बता दो. Do you want me to take any other topic? I'm free tomorrow. I can take one. Skim. Skim. Let's look at the skim, 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 skim. This is nice. Learning not to lose faith in humanity. Read that in detail. Truth, lies, and propaganda. Leave. Fail the people of UP. Oh, ho, ho, nahi. Leave. No glass ceilings were broken to write this. Haha. Don't leave this. Please read this in detail, okay? That's all. That's all for today. Okay, guys. So, bit verb agreement. Okay. Okay. Syllogism. Okay. Critical reasoning. Hammer. All right. Okay. Noted. Winding up the class, everyone. Have a very good day and God bless you. See you at 12:30. Bye, everyone.